In 1919, dealership owners from across the state came together recognizing the need for one voice in Harrisburg. They spent the first several years building PAA's membership and amassing legislative victories. 10 years later, after the stock market crash on October 29, 1929, the nation entered into the Depression years. Automobile production and new vehicle sales plummeted, and dealerships survived by virtue of their parts and service departments. Members of PAA's board of directors loaned the association thousands of dollars to keep the association running. PAA operated out of a small rented space in downtown Harrisburg, adjacent to the Capitol building. Across Pennsylvania, dirt and muddy roads were still common in the 1930s. Automobile accidents and breakdowns were frequent, and drivers were sometimes careless. The Depression was also devastating to an already declining railroad industry. The railroads launched a Dangerous Highways campaign, hoping people would give up their cars and return to traveling by train. PAA responded with newspaper and radio advertisements, and PAA President Claude Clue served on Governor Pinchot's safety conference.
The railroads received their first legislative setback in a quarter of a century. Just because some railroad companies have a difficult time, there's no reason why their position will be materially better if we throttle truck transportation and highway use. Furthermore, two wrongs never did make a right. We sponsored the first Save a Life campaign and did a good job, we think, in securing legislation covering 2 inspection campaigns each year. We contend that there is a moral and legal responsibility resting on the shoulders of the officials in any state to compel motor vehicle owners to keep their cars in good mechanical condition.
By the late 1930s, new car sales were again on the rise. The Pennsylvania Turnpike, the Dream Highway, opened in 1940, stretching from Carlisle to Irwin. But the start of the Second World War halted automobile production, and manufacturers turned to producing defense items, as did some dealerships. To help the war effort, Raymond Scott, a dealer on the main line in Philadelphia, converted his dealership into a machine shop and manufactured controls for Wildcat and Hellcat fighter planes. Pennsylvania's dealers went to war with the rest of the nation, with several members of the board of directors, their children, and their employees serving. PAA assisted NADA in the recruitment of mechanics for the NADA battalions. These men kept vehicles running across Europe and in the Pacific. Those dealerships who survived the war years by selling used vehicles and performing repairs turned their attention after the war to improving highways and bridges in Pennsylvania. When new models were again released in 1948 and 1949, Americans' love affair with cars was reignited, and each new model was released with sleeker styling and improved features. Auto shows returned, and dealerships began hosting big events during new car introductions in recently built showrooms that emphasized brand loyalty and introduced customers to the dealership's many services. By 1947, the association was doing so well, the first office building was purchased at 1925 North Front Street, which remains the association's address today. By 1950, car manufacturing finally surpassed 1929 numbers, and PAA's membership doubled to almost 3,000 dealers. President Claude Clue would remain through the decade.
The success of any organization is founded on friendship, goodwill, and cooperation. The desire of the Pennsylvania dealers to solve their mutual problems is indicated by our progress over the years.